Welcome back to a bit gamey and MAKT 4, I think, which is be quite quick. So, because I already went through what I was doing, just gradually building up my train collection. So I've got a bunch more of these 6 inches kind of river tiles, where two of these straight ones go together like for a nice wide river. So I've got a load of them to paint blue. A load of these more of these 5" by 1" bases for hedges and walls. I think the way most people do it that I've seen is they're using this EPVC or EPA or whatever it is various forms of kind of not quite polystyrene chunks that you do for terrain bases. But I'm using these MDF ones because I can't stand the sound of when you cut that plastic stuff. It just gives me the release. So I've got about a load of these. They get eight in a packet. So I've got 16 of those for hedges and fences. There's the stuff from Countryside Scenics clump foliage. I mean, it's quite small. I mean, you don't get much for your money, but you don't need much to get fill up a 5" base either. So hopefully that'll be okay. And if I haven't got enough clump foliage to fill up these bases, I'll use lichen. I've got some lichen. So I've got clump foliage, bases for hedges, the plastic set of what you call them, picket fences that I've got before. That I'm using. They're 28mm plastic fences that I'm using as a 20mm taller fence. So I need two of those fit on one of those bases. So that's one. So whatever, it's 1, 2, 3.5, or 4 bases for them. That's to go on these. And what I did before with the two of these, using some of these for the swamp bases. I've got another set as well. So I'm going to do maybe half of these for the extra swamp bases and the rest for wood. So I'm mostly just going to put lichen and phlox and colour and whatever. And there'll be scatter bases for woodland. I still haven't got trees yet because I haven't got anywhere to put tall trees. But I can scatter the woodland ones as a marker for trees. So that's a load of stuff. It's nothing new about it. Paint the bases blue or brown or green or whatever, and then stick stuff on them. Paint and flock. So that's that for now. So I've got them all painted. 12 of these. Only one coat. Probably want the second one. One of the interesting things with acrylic paint is you can do it thicker than you need. So that one just as an experiment. Doing a few little swirly little pieces of paint on the second coat. So when I do the second coat, I'll add some swirlies, give it a bit of extra whatever. The swamp tiles good in blue because it's mostly going to be covered with flock and such. But if you leave a little bit that's left without any flock, and you get the blue showing through, it sort of works quite well as a base, I think, for swamp tiles, sort of swamp terrain. Got 4 of those painted brown for the picket fence. They get some flock on them afterwards, and then just done load of green for the woodland stuff and the hedges. So good fun. I mean, it is actually good fun doing this with these little bases. As I say, it's I'm only doing it in the MDF because I don't like the sound of cutting plastic, and so it's more. I don't know if it's more expensive. It probably is, but I like it. These little cut-out bases for certain things, it's and then you just add various bits of rubbish you've got lying around, bits of clump foliage or swamp tufts, lichen. It's like a bit like I don't know what they call it in kindergarten. They didn't used to call it that. Whatever the word is, but whatever kindergarten means, wherever you are, where you're just messing about and gluing things together. Good fun. So, quick show of the river system. My very basic river system, which is these stream sections of MDF, 6 inches, and they slot together. For some reason, I don't know. So I just gave me an idea that I could use these for the bigger rivers. Just a couple of coats of blue paint. I mean, you can do using the thickness of the acrylics. You can do you can make it look like swirly and a current and all that. I didn't bother this time, but I may improve them in the future. I mean, good thing about a lot of the other river, what to do with rivers and stuff is that you put a border on and then you pour some resin or whatever in to create the water effect, and that's very good. But on these, if I'm going to use 2 of these to create a bigger river, then I can only do that on 1/2. You can only do the border thing on 1/2, so that's going to kill off the resin idea. So I don't know what I'll do, but I mean that's perfectly adequate for me because in a way it's just one step up from what I used to do, which was get bits of cardboard and paint them blue. I've got bits of MDF painted blue, so it's not a recommendation by anything, but pretty quick, pretty cheap way of getting yourself a nice big river. And you get 4 of those little stream things in a pack. So there's 6 inches each, but if you double them up, that gives you a foot of double the width. So 3 packs of those, bosh bosh, 3 foot wide river for a river crossing. Here you go. So another 9 of the swampy bases. So painted blue underneath, so you can see little bits coming out of underneath all the tufts and flock. Scatter them about, give you different shapes of swamp terrain, or just have them along the edge of the rivers. So quite pleased with that really. Quite simple. Base, paint blue, whack a load of tufts on it. Especially the tall tufts, very good for swampy terrain. Right, hedges. Using what's called hedge foliage from Jarvis. You get a wall bases stick like this, 5 inches, painted green, and just whack some of that hedge foliage, clump foliage on top of it. I say I was disappointed originally because you don't get very much, but it's enough to do 8 plus. I mean, I've got 9. I did one before, so this makes 9 using 2 packets of that clump foliage. And you could probably get more out if you were a bit more I don't know what the word is, because this is for 20mm figures. And personally, when I've been out running around in the woods, clumping through hedges, they're generally a bit taller than your height. and that's kind of like I was aiming for more or less is like a 20mm figures height. So they're okay, and but if you was like doing it for 15mm figures, for example, you could because you can tear these apart easily enough, so you can adjust the height, but that way. But I say for me, ideally wanting slightly more than 20mm high, because a lot of time you see in games, you have hedges which are like waist height, which isn't quite what I remember. I think most of the time you kind of they're more scraggly and taller, and a lot of the ones you see in games often look more like they're designed for like a country house or something. But anyway, blah blah blah. Rumbling on. The point is for 8 of those bases and 2 packets of the clump foliage, you get pretty nice hedges, 20mm hedges, I think. But and you can always use them for other scales. Like if you're using 15mm figures, then they're taller, and if they're 28mm, they're shorter. But that's you can still count them as hedges. So anyway, I think that's pretty good. Pretty good. Not as good as some of the others I've seen, but good enough for me. Oh, and the other point is like we'll say 8 or 9 hedges. It's 5 inches each. So 9 of them. That's 45, almost 4 foot of straight on hedges. So no, that's fine. I say fine for me. In terms of the cost, I mean, it's that'll do it for me. That's okay. I mean, there are nicer ones I've seen, and all the terrain people make nice ones. But that's okay for me for now anyway. I might give it another go later on. So next is a load of little bases painted green or brown. What am I going to do with those, I wonder? Lichen or lichen, natural colour and green colour, light green. The opposite of the clump foliage, that you get loads of it. Probably a bit too much, to be honest. So anyway, let's see what we can do with that. So, little green bases covered in lichen, lichen, still wet. But these will pop out eventually. Ooh, maybe they won't. Got them glued in by accident. They'll come out eventually. There'll be a kind of little. Oh, there you go. Little things like that. Little base painted green or brown or whatever. Is that a good idea? I don't know. If you go clumping around in woods, you'll notice like occasionally you get bits like this where it's mixture of ferns or blackberry bushes and stuff and nettles. And does it look like that? No, it doesn't. But can it represent that in woodlands? I think so. I think it's quite good. The idea being that you kind of you scatter these around with a few trees and that makes your woodlands. And I think that's quite good. I mean, that's what I used to do as a kid. I just have clumps of lichen and just spread them around like their hedges. Not very good, but better than nothing. Another one with the green bases. I don't think I need any much more than that really, because it's not really to cover an area. They're to just stick around trees on woodland stuff. That's another one I did with the natural lichen on the brown basis. That was just an experiment. I'm not sure exactly an experiment of what, but it's going to be a similar thing. You could even use these on deserts really. I mean, again, I'm not sure how realistic it would be, but you can imagine that on a desert terrain. It's just a scatter. A lot of time, it's not really for anything. It's just a visual representation of something. So that's all good. I say, look, tons of this lichen is the complete opposite of the clump foliage in terms of the amount you get. So that's that really. That's going to be that's mostly going to be everything I need for the. There's a couple more familiar. What about? Just, you know, in the woods. What was it? Oh yeah. So still got 4 of these left over. 2 I hadn't painted just in case. I was originally going to put lichen on these. Instead of the, I was going to put lichen on whatever was left after I've used up the clump foliage. But I do like the clump foliage ones. You know, they just look more something. So I might just get some more clump foliage for those last 4 bases. I don't know. I was originally going to do lichen on these. I could do some lichen on them just to see what they look like. See if they if they'll do on that level. Decisions. So I've got 4 more of these bases that I might do with lichen. And the last thing on the list, which I've been putting off, is these bases for the picket fence, or giant picket fence. The issue being there's 7 pieces of the 7 long pieces and 1 gate, and the gate is a bit longer, so I even need to think of some way of filling up that couple of inches, or cutting it, or getting some 3-inch bases like this for what variety, I suppose you could call it, flexibility. I can't decide, so I should just do the other 3. Leave that one for now, and leave the gate one for now. Yeah, so that's the next stage, is just to get those glued on and primed for that. But yeah, it's all very happy so far. It's all going well. I say that more broadly, it's not just whether it goes well, whether I'm happy with the results along the way. Is this because at some point, if I get a large table, I'll need to do this again. Do I know how I got it all done? Have I got it all fixed? My list of trains, is it all sorted? And I think it mostly is. Yeah. Anything else? No, not for now. I'll finish the picket fences and then see what's left. So a quick point, which may or may not be useful to anyone. When I was watching all these train videos, there's a thing where people were spraying watered down PVA on the train on the top. They kind of glue it all down and fix it all in place. So I got one of these, a sprayer thing with some PVA in and water. And so, in theory that should work out fine. But on my case, because I don't have a proper space to, they're doing it on the train pieces, so I could spray it from on top and it's all fine. But in my case, I was spraying it and just creating a mess. I could have done it by you get a box and you just cut one side out of it and use that for your spraying and stuff. But I was too lazy, so instead I got the plan of, when one of these is coming to the end of its life, there's only a little bit left and a little bit of glue left, like this one. I don't know if you can hear the water, but instead I took, when it came to the end of its life, sort of thing, at the point where you're going to throw it away, Instead, I just filled that up with water, and shake it about, and then just you just drip it on the top of these kind of things, just to glue it all down, sort of thing. And well, I say this may not be a worthwhile idea for anyone, but I quite like it. It sort of makes it, it goes mostly solid afterwards. Because it's got the watered down glue. And is it better? I don't mean it's visually not any different. Well, it's a little different. It's not as puffy. It feels much more, I don't know, solid. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting. It creates a slightly different look. I don't know if it's good or not. But anyway, I'll just sort of mention that if you use one of these bottles up near the end, just whack some water in it, shake it about, and then use it to dribble on terrain pieces, to see what you get. So I don't know, I think it's kind of a thing. Anyway, the other thing, so in the end I decided to use the lichen on the spare bases, and then do that thing I just mentioned, to where you dribble a lot of watered down glue on top. So what do I think about that? Now visually it's not as good. It's not as good as the plant foliage, but I mean it's okay. It's okay. I mean it's like because I had because you got so much of the lichen, might as well use it up. And yeah. That's it. A quick point on that last thing. Using the drippy water method of putting water down PVA on at the end, it takes ages to dry, like ages. So that's just something to bear in mind. So the last bit done. The 3 sets of fence, and decided in the end to just finish off the last couple of bases with lichen, get it over with. Always get some more later if I have other ideas. So that then goes on to the tray with all the latest batch, all the different ones, swamps and hedges and river tiles. As you can see any of that. So that's a nice big watch of terrain. So overall, very happy with the swamp scatter. Very nice. The hedges. So I prefer the plant foliage visually, but the lichen ones are perfectly fine for me. The fencing is good for the kind of farmhouse type area. The just blue painted for the big river, and the strange, I don't know what these are for, these kind of light brown ones. I'll just I don't know, I'll just use them amongst the rest. It'll be alright. Yeah, so that's quite a big tray of terrain. Will that be enough now to fill out my table? So that's where we've got to. You think you've got enough, and it's still seems fairly sparse. The needs some fields and a building, some kind of farm building, a barn or a farm, I think. But that's also trees. We'll fly through. Quick fly through. There's you got some walls going up to the bridge, crossing a stream. All these little scatter things around the stream. A few hedges here and there. field dividers, and then up further along, and then there's the fence there that needs some kind of farm building, and the little scatter pieces that's supposed to represent woods until I get some trees. So that's pretty good. It's not done, but it's playable at this point, even if it's a bit naff. So, in conclusion, of the various things I made, probably my favourite is probably the of the kind of bought stuff or pre-made stuff is the armour fast walls. 6 spaces, whether they're some broken walls and whatever. But because they're so convenient, easy to paint, stick it on a base, whack a bit of flock on. That's probably my favourite of them all. Second favourite is the base with clump foliage. In terms of like aesthetic appeal and realism, but you don't get that much. You don't get much for your money for that. And you have the what we call it, the lichen hedges, stuck to the base. Not very realistic, but you get a lot for your money. These little small sidey bases with various stuff stuck on them. They're kind of a patchy undergrowth, not very realistic, but cheap. And I'll do another favourite is the swampy tiles, using these little MDF faces and just various tufts and stuff stuck onto them. Very good. Generally. So my reason for using the MDF faces is because I don't like the sound cutting the PVA stuff, the kind of foam core and all that. I will probably try that at some point, but for now, I don't know if it's a good recommendation in terms of price. I think they're pretty cheap. I think these MDF faces. I don't know if it's how it relates to the foam core, etc. But for me, it's cheap enough. And what I like about them, well, apart from the fact that you don't have to cut them, is they add a bit of weight to the frame pieces. Like for example, these armour fast walls are just plastics. They have no weight, or the lichen, etc. And so chunky big MDF base holds them all down. So definitely, I'd definitely recommend them. There may be other people who know about it better, who have counter arguments, but for me it's pretty good. So the other thing that might be worth mentioning, I don't know if it is, but one of the reasons for doing it in these kind of modular pieces is they can fit them into one of these really useful box trays. These 3, I think, what is it, 6, I forget the height now. Well, there's 3 heights of trays you can put in the really useful boxes, and one of them is you can get 3 in, and so doing the train in this kind of modular fashion is you can get quite a lot in one box. So fly cam. So 3 of these, and you can get a lot in each box. At least all the stuff that can be modular. You can get a lot in one container, which is why I was doing it this way. So that's the kind of the trade-off really between the if you're going for max aesthetics, max realism, and you're trying to do some kind of train thing on somewhere that looks its best, but it's harder to store them, basically. So if you do it modular, it's not going to look as good, but it's going to be easier to pack away. Okay, toodle bit.